All right, let's get into it because this right here had my jaw on the floor. My eyebrows raised, and me sitting there thinking, oh, so we're just going to pretend like we don't see what's going on? Viewers, you need to stay with me all the way to the end because the deeper we go into this, the more the puzzle pieces start coming together. And trust me, you're going to want to catch every single piece of tea before it spills over. And when I say spills, I mean the kind that burns because it's piping hot, so. Maurice Scott decided he was going to hop on Carlos King's platform and do a little recap of the show, right? And you would think maybe he'd talk about his own business, maybe his own life, or at least address some of the wild claims that have been floating around. But nope, Maurice slid right into defending Martell Holt like it was his full-time job. And listen, I'm not surprised. You're not surprised. I know the audience isn't surprised. This is a pattern. Martell says or does something absolutely wild. And instead of holding him accountable, Maurice swoops in with that calm voice, talking like he's the rational one in the room, trying to smooth over the mess Martell just made. Meanwhile, Martell, Scott is over there throwing gasoline on the fire, telling Martell to burn it all down. And then here comes Maurice. Oh no, Martell, let's be reasonable. It's almost comical at this point. But here's where it gets crazy, and I'm talking you can't make this up crazy. Maurice, the same man who's always riding for Martell, ended up catching a stray shot in the process. Imagine defending somebody at every turn making excuses for their bad behavior. And then finding out they've thrown your name into the drama too. If that was me, oh, I'd be done. I'd be walking away mid-sentence. No explanation needed. But Maurice, he's out here still explaining, still justifying. It's giving. I'm scared of what you might say next if you ask me. Let's rewind for a second because I need you all to remember this part. Martell once did an interview where he brought on the alleged side chick of Martell. Not only did he bring her on, but he sat there with her, interviewing her about her own alleged involvement with Martell. And somewhere in that chaos, there were allegations allegedly about a three-way involving Martell, Maurice, and this same woman. Now, I don't know if it's true, you don't know if it's true, but we all know it was said. And Carlos King, being Carlos King, wasn't about to let that slide without bringing it up in the recap. So, he asks Maurice what he thought about his name being dropped like that. Maurice's response. He said he didn't like it, sure, but then he softened it all up by saying he understood Martell was just fighting with his back against the wall for the last several years. Excuse me? Fighting for what? His right to cheat in peace. 'Cause let's be clear, Martell's back against the wall is a position he put himself in. Nobody dragged him there. He cheated on Melody Shari repeatedly with no remorse. Carried on with Arione Curry for years, even having a baby with her. That wasn't some tragic accident. That was a choice. A choice he made over and over again. And here's the kicker, Martell wasn't the least bit bothered when he was sneaking around, breaking up his own home and humiliating Melody in public. But now, suddenly, we're all supposed to gather around and feel sorry for him. It's like, oh, poor Martell. He lost his family in front of the world. Sir, you lost your family because you refused to value them when you had them. And Maurice acting like that's not the case? I'm sorry, but it's ridiculous. Then Maurice went on to say he hasn't seen anyone get as much hate as Martell. And I'm sitting here thinking, Maurice, people don't exactly love you either. This isn't a popularity contest where the votes are just random. The dislike comes from actual behavior, things people see, hear, and remember. It's not like folks just wake up and decide, you know what, I don't like Martell today. No, they have receipts. They have history. They have reasons. But Maurice still kept pushing this narrative like it's Martell versus the world. Like Martell is some innocent man just walking down the street, minding his own business, and everyone's throwing rocks at him for no reason. And that's where Dustin, bless his heart, came in and kept it real. Dustin wasn't buying the poor Martell act. He flat out said it's probably too late for Martell to fix his public image, and honestly, I agree. How many chances can one man get before people decide enough is enough? Maurice tried to push back, saying they put Martell in this space, but Dustin shut that down real quick. They didn't put him anywhere. Martell put himself there. And hearing another man say that was refreshing, because so often, when women point it out, it gets brushed off as being emotional or biased. No. Facts are facts. Martell has had opportunity after opportunity to take responsibility, to own his mistakes, and he's blown every single one of them. The truth is, if Martell ever sat down, looked in the camera, and said, "I messed up. I cheated on Melody. She didn't deserve that. I was wrong, and I'm working on myself," it could have been over. The public might have started to forgive, but instead, he spent years trying to flip the script, paint Melody as the problem, and even went as far as plotting revenge. That's not just toxic, it's calculated, and here's where it gets even messier. Maurice is out here defending the same man who basically accused him of cheating and being in a threesome with his own brother. That's beyond me. The only explanation that makes sense is that Maurice knows Martell has more dirt, and Martell knows that Maurice knows that he knows. You get me? It's like a silent agreement. I won't destroy you if you don't destroy me. Which might explain why Maurice jumps in to smooth things over anytime Marcette and Martell go at it. It's giving protect the secrets at all costs. All right, so let's go deeper into this, because the way Maurice Scott is capping for Martell Holt makes me think there's a whole underground vault of secrets we haven't even tapped into yet. And I'm telling you, viewers, you've better stick with me until the very end of this, because the more I connect the dots, the more this looks less like friend loyalty and more like mutually assured destruction. So here's what really gets. Maurice was sitting on Carlos King's recap, and instead of just saying, "You know what? I didn't appreciate my name being brought up in that mess," he takes this whole detour into explaining Martell's pain like he's been battling with his back against the wall for years. Excuse me, sir, but battling against what? Accountability. Because that's the only fight I've seen Martell avoid, like the plague. And honestly, if we're gonna talk about backs against the wall, let's not forget Martell is the one who put the wall there in the first place. Nobody pushed him into it. The man had a whole wife, Melody, shari beautiful, successful, raising his children, supporting his dreams. And what did he do? He turned around and cheated on her, not once, not twice, but for years, with Ariane Curry being the main side piece. And let's be real, Rion wasn't some secret affair in the shadows. She was out here talking, posting, throwing shade at Melody online. Martell didn't even try to hide it. So when Maurice comes in with this whole, people hate Martell so much, it's unfair, I just have to roll my eyes. No, it's not unfair. It's the natural result of years of bad decisions. Now, Dustin was the MVP of that recap, because while Maurice was serving up excuses on a silver platter, Dustin was handing out reality checks. He said it straight, Martell's image is probably beyond repair at this point. And honestly, that's not even being shady. It's just the truth. Martell has had so many chances to turn things around. If he wanted to be seen as the fun-loving guy Maurice swears he is, all he had to do was change his behavior and show some humility. But instead, he doubled down, kept pointing fingers at everyone else, and stayed messy. Let's also not skip over the fact that Maurice keeps framing this like it's Martell versus everybody. And while that makes for a catchy tagline, it's also misleading. The public didn't wake up one day and decide, I think I'll dislike Martell Holt today. No, people reacted to what they saw: cheating, disrespect, revenge plots, and a refusal to own up to any of it. You live your life like that, the versus everybody vibe is inevitable. And here's where my eyebrow really shot up. Maurice says they put Martell in this position. Who's they? The media, the viewers, the other cast members. No? The only person who's been consistent in putting Martell in bad situations is Martell himself. And Dustin called that out loud and clear. When another man says, nah, he put himself there, You know, it's not just emotional fan bias. It's a fact. But let's think about why Maurice is so invested in defending Martell. Because if someone accused me of having a threesome with my own brother and some random woman on camera, in public I wouldn't be in a rush to defend them. I'd be distancing myself so fast the wind would knock over my chair. Yet Maurice, he's standing by him like it's ride or die season. That's not normal. That's survival mode. And in my opinion, it smells like Martell has a whole lot more on Maurice. Maybe even on Marsa, too. This is why I say it feels like Martell is playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. Every so often, he'll release just enough dirt to remind people, hey, I know things. Don't push me. Like that interview with Marza's alleged side chick, he didn't have to do that. But he did. Know exactly what they're doing. Martell's not some clueless rookie in the reality TV game. He's been on this show long enough to understand how his actions look. If he cared about looking better, he would have changed course years ago. The fact that he hasn't tells you everything. But you know what really seals the deal for me? It's the double standard. When Melody Shari was dealing with Martell's cheating and humiliation, where was all this empathy Maurice is now throwing at Martell? Where were the back against the wall speeches for her? Where were the everyone's against you narratives when she was being dragged through the mud publicly by her own husband? Funny how that compassion only flows one way in this circle. And I think the viewers see it too. That's why people aren't buying Maurice's defense. It's too one-sided, too convenient. If you can't extend the same grace to the woman who got cheated on as you do to the man who did the cheating, your loyalty starts to look a lot less like friendship and a lot more like fear. And fear, in this case, makes perfect sense. Because I'm convinced Martell has a mental file on each of these guys. He might not open it all at once, but he's willing to crack it open just enough to keep them in line. And Maurice, he's making sure that file on him stays sealed now. The question is, how long can they keep this little balancing act going before someone slips? Because history tells me, in this group, the truth always finds a way to leak. And when it does, it's going to be chaos, and trust me, I'm not even close to done breaking this down. So if you think you've heard the juiciest part already, don't go anywhere. What I'm about to get into next is going to make you rethink everything. You thought you knew about why Maurice keeps defending Martell no matter what. And let's not forget Maurice's own track record is not squeaky clean. We've heard the stories about his high sexual appetite, even during the time his wife Kimmy Scott was dealing with cancer. He's joked about it like it's not a big deal. But it says a lot about priorities and mindset. So yeah, maybe Maurice is just making sure the focus never swings too hard in his direction by the time you piece all this together. It's not just about Maurice defending Martell because they're friends. It starts to feel like a strategy, a survival tactic. Because if Martell decides to open his mouth and let loose everything he knows, relationships, reputations, and entire storylines could blow up overnight. And that's exactly why you need to keep watching until the end of this video, because there's more going on here than meets the eye. And I'm about to break down how this could all explode if the wrong button gets pushed.